Hello, welcome back to our podcast. Imagine you wake up to something crawling across your face. It's probably just a spider, or maybe a beetle. Hard to tell in the dark when your entire house smells like last week's turnip stew, and everyone you're related to is sleeping within arm's reach. Welcome to 1720s Colonial America, where privacy died the moment you were born, and comfort is something rich people invented to feel superior. The year is somewhere between, we just got here, and why did we come here again? You're lying on what the family optimistically calls a bed, which is really just a sack of dried corn husks that sounds like you're sleeping on a bag of angry wasps every time you move. The person next to you is snoring loud enough to wake the dead. Except the dead have it better because at least they don't have to fetch water at dawn. Outside, a rooster screams its daily reminder that life is suffering. This isn't your alarm clock. This is your enemy, a feathered dictator who's decided that 4:30 in the morning is a perfectly reasonable time for everyone to start their day. You'd complain, but complaining requires energy, and you're saving that for the 14 hours of manual labor ahead. The cabin you're in isn't much to look at. One room, dirt floor, walls made from whatever trees were nearby and whatever prayers seemed appropriate. The gaps between the logs are stuffed with moss, mud, and occasionally a dead mouse that got ambitious during construction. Through these gaps, the wind enters freely, carrying with it the distinct aroma of your neighbor's pig farm and the reminder that windows are a luxury you can't afford. Your blanket situation is dire. There's one blanket for the entire family, and it's made from wool that's so scratchy it doubles as an exfoliant. Someone's feet are in your face. You're not sure whose. Could be your brother, could be your cousin, could be that uncle who showed up 3 years ago and just never left. The colonial family bed is less furniture and more a horizontal refugee camp. The morning routine begins with negotiations. Who's getting up first? Nobody wants to. The first person out of bed becomes the sacrifice to the cold, tasked with restarting the fire that's now just sad embers and broken dreams. You all lie there, pretending to be asleep, hoping someone else cracks first. Eventually, your father grunts something that sounds like up before the sun, same as always, which is his way of saying, I'm not doing it either. When you finally drag yourself upright, the cold hits you like a slap from an angry Puritan. The fire died hours ago, and the cabin's interior temperature is roughly the same as the outside, which is to say, aggressively unwelcoming. Your breath comes out in visible puffs. Your toes have gone numb. You're wearing the same clothes you wore yesterday because you only own one set. And the concept of a fresh outfit is something you'll tell your grandchildren about as a fairy tale. The floor is a minefield. Splinters lurk in the wooden planks like tiny wooden assassins. Step wrong, and you'll spend the next week limping while your mother digs out the offending piece with a needle that's seen better decades. The dirt sections aren't much better. They're cold, slightly damp, and have the consistency of frozen misery. You stumble toward the wash basin, which is really just a dented tin bowl sitting on a table that leans to one side because nothing in this house is level. The water inside is so cold it could be used for cryogenic preservation. You splash some on your face and immediately regret every life choice that led you to this moment. Your skin goes numb. Your eyes water. You're now awake in the worst possible way. Soap exists, technically, but it's made from animal fat and wood ash, and using it feels like scrubbing your face with a combination of sandpaper and regret. Most days, you skip it. So does everyone else. The general colonial approach to hygiene is, let's just all smell bad together and pretend it's normal. And it works, mostly because everyone's nose has given up trying to process information. Breakfast is waiting, which is a generous term for what's about to happen. Your mother has prepared the morning meal, which consists entirely of cornmeal mush. It's the same thing you ate yesterday. It's the same thing you'll eat tomorrow. In fact, if you think really hard, you can't remember the last time you ate something that wasn't corn-based. The bowl lands in front of you with a wet thud. It's grey. It's lumpy. It tastes like disappointment with a hint of grit. You eat it anyway because the alternative is starving, and starving is generally considered bad form in colonial society. Your siblings are already fighting over who gets the biggest portion, which is hilarious because all the portions are equally terrible. Your father reminds everyone to be grateful, which is easy for him to say because he got to the pot first and definitely took more than his share. The table is rough-hewn wood that hasn't been sanded because sanding is for people with free time, and nobody here has free time. Splinters are a feature, not a bug. You eat quickly, partly because the food is getting cold, partly because chores are already piling up in your mind like a to-do list written by someone who hates you. Outside, the world is waking up too. You can hear the neighbor's cow complaining about something, probably existence. The chickens are having a loud debate about absolutely nothing. And somewhere in the distance, someone is chopping wood, which means you'll need to chop wood soon too, because wood is currency heat and basically the reason you're not dead yet. Your clothing situation hasn't improved overnight. You're wearing a shirt that's been patched so many times it's more patch than shirt. Your pants are held up by a rope because buttons are expensive and hope is free. Your shoes, if you can call them that, are wooden clogs that make every step sound like a tiny angry tap dance. They fit poorly. They offer no support. They're basically medieval Crocs, except worse. Getting dressed is less getting ready and more putting on your armor of scratchy discomfort. The women in the family have it even harder. Layers upon layers of petticoats, stays that restrict breathing, and caps that hide hair that hasn't been properly washed in weeks. Modesty isn't a choice, it's a survival strategy. The more layers you wear, the warmer you stay, and staying warm is the entire point of fashion in colonial America. You step outside, and the morning air hits you with the force of a judgmental sermon. It's cold, it's damp, and it smells like a combination of wood smoke, manure, and unfulfilled dreams. The yard is mud. Everything is mud. The path to the well is mud. The area around the chicken coop is mud. You're starting to suspect the entire colony is just mud with aspirations. The outhouse looms in the distance, a wooden shack of shame sitting 30 yards from the house. You'll need to visit it eventually, but not yet. Not until absolutely necessary, because the outhouse is cold, drafty, and staffed by spiders who consider it their personal kingdom. The toilet paper situation is whatever leaves look least poisonous, and the privacy situation is hope nobody needs to use it at the same time. Chores begin immediately. Water needs fetching. The well is down the path, past the mud, through more mud, and next to the thing that might be a garden but looks more like a failed science experiment. You grab the bucket, which is wooden and leaks slightly, and begin the trek. The bucket is heavy when full. Your arms are tired before you even start. This is your life now. The chickens need feeding, which sounds simple until you remember that chickens are small dinosaurs with attitude problems. They peck at your feet. They scatter in every direction. One of them has figured out how to open the coop door from the inside, and you suspect she's teaching the others. You scatter grain, they scatter chaos, and everyone pretends this is fine. The cow needs milking. The pigs need slop. The goats need to be convinced that the fence is, in fact, a boundary they should respect. They disagree. They always disagree. One of them is currently standing on the roof of the shed, and you have no idea how it got there or how to get it down. This is also fine. Everything is fine. Your siblings are doing their own chores with varying degrees of competence. Your younger brother is supposed to be gathering firewood, but is instead poking a dead frog with a stick. Your sister is feeding the chickens, but is mostly just arguing with them. Your older brother is fixing the fence, which broke again, because the fence breaks every single week like it's on a schedule. The sun climbs higher. The day grows marginally warmer. You're already exhausted, and it's not even mid-morning. You think about breakfast, which was terrible, and lunch, which will also be terrible, and dinner, which has never once surprised you with its quality. But you keep going because stopping means freezing, starving, or worse, disappointing your parents, who have somehow managed to keep everyone alive despite the universe's clear preference otherwise. Your hands are already dirty. Your back already aches. Your shoes have given you a blister that will definitely get infected because medicine is mostly hope and pray. But you're alive. You're standing. You're Colonial American, which means you're tougher than you look, even if you look like you're one bad harvest away from becoming a ghost story. The smell of wood smoke drifts across the yard. Someone's baking bread, which is either your mother or the neighbor. And honestly, it doesn't matter because all colonial bread tastes like you're chewing on compressed sadness. But it's bread. And bread means you eat today. And eating today means you might survive until tomorrow. Your father appears, axe in hand, ready to declare war on the woodpile. He doesn't say good morning because morning isn't good. Morning is work. He nods at you. You nod back. This is colonial communication. Efficient, emotionless, slightly depressing. The day stretches ahead like an endless dirt road. More chores, more corn, more splinters, more mud, more reasons to question why your ancestors thought this was a good idea. But underneath all the discomfort and exhaustion, there's something else, a stubborn refusal to quit, a determination that borders on spite. You're going to survive this day, and the next, and the one after that, because that's what colonial Americans do. They survive, they endure, they wake up to spiders on their faces and somehow turn that into a Tuesday. Welcome to the real colonial America. No powdered wigs, no fancy documents, just dirt, work, and the faint hope that tomorrow's cornmeal might be slightly less gritty. The rooster screams again, reminding everyone that he's still in charge. You ignore him. You've got water to fetch, animals to feed, and a whole day of historical suffering ahead. But at least you're not alone. Everyone around you is suffering too. And somehow, that makes it almost bearable. By mid-morning, you're already filthy again. That splash of icy water earlier. Pointless. The dirt has returned with reinforcements. Your hands are caked in mud from hauling buckets. Your shirt smells like wood smoke mixed with barnyard ambition. And there's a mysterious stain on your knee that you're choosing not to investigate. Welcome to the perpetual state of colonial grime, where clean is less a condition and more a fleeting fantasy. The thing about colonial dirt is that it's committed. It doesn't wash off easily because you're constantly reintroducing it. You touch the firewood, you feed the chickens, you repair the fence with hands still damp from breakfast dishes. Every task is a fresh layer of earth, ash and regret applied directly to your skin. By noon, you've basically become a walking sediment sample. Your clothes bear the brunt of it. That one shirt you own is developing its own personality. The stains have names, the patches have patches, and somewhere along the hem, there's a tear that's been waiting 3 weeks for you to find time to sew it. You won't find that time. You never do. The shirt will continue deteriorating until it achieves full sentience or falls apart, whichever comes first. Footwear is another battlefield. Your shoes, if we're being generous with that term, are basically leather suggestions held together by hope and dried mud. The soles are thin enough that you can feel every pebble on the path. Water seeps in through cracks you can't locate. And the smell, well, the smell has achieved independence. Your shoes don't just stink. They announce your arrival 3 minutes before you do. But here's the thing, nobody mentions about colonial life. You stop noticing. After a week of perpetual grime, your brain just accepts this as baseline reality. Dirt under your fingernails? That's Tuesday. Mysterious brown smudge on your forearm? Probably fine. Hair that hasn't seen proper washing in 2 weeks? Everyone else looks exactly the same, so you're basically invisible. The only time you remember how dirty you actually are is when you catch your reflection in a bucket of water. For a brief moment, you see yourself as others might. Face smudged with ash, hair escaping in all directions from under your cap, clothes that appear to have survived several natural disasters, and you think maybe I should do something about this. Then a chicken runs past being chased by your younger sibling, and you remember you have 17 other problems more urgent than personal appearance. Let's talk about hands specifically, because they deserve their own tragic chapter. Colonial hands are tools that happen to be attached to your body. They're rough, calloused, and decorated with an ever-changing collection of cuts, burns, and splinters. You get a splinter removing a splinter. It's a whole system. The skin on your palms has the texture of tree bark, not metaphorically, literally. You could probably start fires with them if you rubbed them together fast enough. Washing your hands is more symbolic than effective. You dunk them in whatever water is available, scrub vaguely with a rag, and call it progress. The dirt remains. Not all of it. Just enough to remind you that you're fighting a losing battle against the fundamental nature of physical labor. Your fingernails have given up entirely. They're just decorative at this point. Little crescents of permanent earth. And don't even think about your feet. Your feet are their own ecosystem. Blisters on top of calluses, on top of questionable fungal situations you're pretending don't exist. You wrap them in cloth, stuff them into those shoes we discussed, and try not to think about what's happening down there. Occasionally you'll inspect them by firelight and immediately regret it. Better to just keep walking and hope everything sorts itself out. The irony is that all this dirt is actually protective. That layer of grime on your skin acts as a barrier against wind, against sun, against the million tiny injuries that daily colonial life tries to inflict. You're not dirty. You're armored. It's a coping mechanism that happens to smell like last Tuesday's pig pen, but it works. Bathing remains a distant dream. You had your weekly basin splash. That's your allotment. The next proper wash is 6 days away, and by then you'll have accumulated enough dirt to justify a geological survey. But you'll survive. Everyone survives. Because in colonial America, survival doesn't require cleanliness. It requires stubbornness and a willingness to redefine what words like fresh and presentable actually mean. Your hair has developed its own microclimate. Under that cap is a world of grease, dust, and the faint hope that nothing is actively living in there. You don't brush it so much as negotiate with it. Sometimes you run your fingers through trying to dislodge the worst tangles. Mostly you just tuck it away and pretend it's someone else's problem. Children are somehow even filthier. They roll through mud puddles like it's a sport. They wipe their noses on their sleeves. They pet every animal within reach and then immediately touch their faces. By afternoon, they're unrecognizable. You send them out clean, or clean adjacent, and they return looking like they've been conscripted into a dirt army. You've stopped trying to fix it. They're alive. That's the victory. The weird part is that all this grime creates a kind of colonial camouflage. When everyone is equally dirty, nobody stands out. You're not the filthy one. You're just part of the general aesthetic. It's only when someone shows up who's slightly cleaner that you remember there are standards somewhere. But those people are usually from town, and they're already judging you for other reasons, so their opinion on your hygiene doesn't really register. Mealtimes add their own special contribution to your overall filth level. You eat with your hands mostly. Forks are fancy and rare. So every meal is a tactile experience that leaves your fingers coated in grease, cornmeal, or whatever mystery substance was in the stew. You wipe them on your shirt. Everyone does. That's what shirts are for. Napkins are a myth, invented by people with too much time and too much cloth. Work clothes and good clothes are technically different categories, but in practice, they're the same clothes, just with different levels of staining. Your good clothes are the ones where you can't immediately identify what made each mark. Your work clothes are the ones where you can trace the history of your week through the pattern of dirt, that brownish smear, Monday's firewood, the greenish streak, Wednesday's unfortunate encounter with a goat. And let's address the elephant in the room, or rather the smell in the room. Everyone stinks. Not sometimes. Always. It's a constant background reality, like the sound of wind or the feeling of hunger. You smell like smoke, sweat, animals, and earth. So does everyone else. It's equitable. Democratic even. The only time smell becomes an issue is when someone smells different. Then you notice. But mostly you're all marinating in the same general aroma of colonial survival. Your neck is probably the dirtiest part of your body that you can't easily hide. It collects grime like a rain gutter collects leaves. By midday, there's a visible line where your collar sits. Below that line, relatively protected. Above it, a testament to everything you've done since dawn. Sometimes you'll wipe it with a damp cloth and the cloth comes away looking like it's been used to clean a chimney. You're not even surprised anymore. The backs of your hands tell stories. Every scar, every burn, every place where the skin has healed slightly darker. They're a record of your colonial career. That mark there, from the time you grabbed a hot pot handle. That one, a chicken with opinions about being picked up. The calluses on your palms have their own topography. You could probably make a map. Laundry day is supposed to reset all this, but it barely makes a dent. You wash your one shirt, it dries, you put it back on. Within an hour, it's picked up enough new dirt that you question whether washing it accomplished anything. The answer is no, it accomplished nothing. But you keep doing it anyway because giving up entirely feels like surrendering to chaos. So you exist in this state of permanent grubbiness, not quite clean, never quite completely filthy, just constantly somewhere in the middle, a human representation of the colonial condition, functional, smudged, enduring, and honestly, after a while you stop caring. The dirt becomes part of you. You become part of the dirt. It's symbiotic, it's survival, it's life in a world where soap is a luxury and clean water is for drinking, not bathing. You look down at your hands right now. They're probably dirty. You can't remember the last time you saw them truly clean. Maybe that one morning weeks ago when you first arrived and hadn't touched anything yet. But that version of you is gone, replaced by this version, dirtier, tougher, more realistic about what colonial life actually demands. And somewhere deep down, you know that all this dirt is temporary. Eventually you'll wash again. Eventually the seasons will change. Eventually something will shift. But for now, you're just another muddy colonist in a muddy world doing muddy work. And that's fine. That's normal. That's exactly what everyone around you is doing too. Your reflection in that water bucket stares back one more time. You nod at it. It nods back. An understanding passes between you and your filthy doppelganger. This is who you are now. This is what survival looks like. And honestly, you're doing better than you thought you would. The chicken runs past again. Your sibling is still chasing it. You have firewood to split. The day continues. The dirt accumulates. And you just keep going. Because that's what colonial Americans do. They keep going. Dirty, tired, and somehow still standing. Welcome to the middle of your very long, very grimy day. The firewood won't chop itself. So you grab the axe. Again. Because you grabbed it yesterday. And the day before that. And honestly, at this point, you're starting to suspect the woodpile is reproducing overnight just to spite you. Your hands already know the routine, the weight of the handle, the angle of the swing, the satisfying thunk when the blade bites clean through, except when it doesn't. Then you're stuck wiggling the axe free while pretending you meant to do that. Very intentional, strategic even. Chopping wood isn't just a chore. It's your relationship with winter. Every log you split is a promise that tonight won't be the night your family wakes up with frost on their eyebrows. No pressure. The technique matters. Too high and you'll miss the sweet spot. Too low and you'll bounce off like you're trying to split granite. Aim for the cracks. Let gravity do half the work. Swing like you're angry at the log, but not so angry you throw your back out. Colonial healthcare doesn't cover that. Your arms burn, your shoulders protest. Somewhere deep in your spine, a vertebra files a formal complaint. You ignore it. Everyone ignores it. Pain is just your body's way of saying you're still employed. The pile grows slowly. One piece, then another. Each one a small victory against the cold. You stack them carefully because a collapsed woodpile means starting over. And starting over means admitting defeat to an inanimate object. Nobody wants that. Children wander past. They're supposed to be helping. They're actually just throwing bark at each other and calling it teamwork. You let it slide. They'll learn. Usually right around the moment they realize frozen fingers aren't fun. The rhythm becomes meditative. Lift, swing, split, stack. Repeat until your brain stops forming complete thoughts and just settles into the motion. It's not peaceful exactly, more like your consciousness takes a brief vacation while your body handles the manual labor. Splinters happen, they always happen. Tiny wooden daggers that burrow under your skin and wait patiently to cause maximum annoyance later. You'll dig them out tonight by candlelight with a needle that's seen better decades. Colonial tweezers are just sharp hope and determination. Someone yells from the house, probably about lunch. Or maybe the goats escaped again. Hard to tell. You keep chopping. The wood doesn't care about your schedule, and neither does winter. Your pile is almost respectable now. Almost. But there's always more. The appetite of a colonial hearth is infinite. It eats logs like a toddler eats dirt, enthusiastically and without explanation. You pause to wipe sweat from your forehead. It's freezing out here, but somehow you're damp. The human body is a mystery wrapped in wool, wrapped in regret. The axe feels heavier now. Your grip shifts. Your stance widens. You're not tired. You're just strategically conserving energy. Very different things. Another log. Another swing. This one fights back. The axe sticks. You yank. It sticks harder. You plant your foot on the log and pull, like you're trying to extract Excalibur from extremely stubborn stone. It pops free. You stumble backward. Dignity is the first casualty of firewood duty. The sun shifts. Shadows lengthen. You've been out here longer than you thought. Time moves differently when you're fighting wood. Minutes stretch. Hours compress. Suddenly it's nearly dark and you're still 3 logs short of your goal. But you're close. So close. Just a few more. Your hands are numb now. Good. Numb means you can't feel the blisters forming. Ignorance is bliss and also a survival mechanism. The final log splits clean. Beautiful. Perfect. You want to frame it. Instead, You toss it on the pile with the others and call it done. Good enough is the colonial motto. You gather an armload for tonight. The bark scratches your forearms. Your back reminds you it has opinions about your life choices. You shuffle toward the house like a walking lumberyard. Inside, the warmth hits you like a wall. Your frozen face thaws. Your hands start tingling as blood remembers they exist. It's not comfortable, but it beats hypothermia. You dump the wood by the hearth. Someone mutters thanks. You grunt in response. Words are for people who haven't spent 3 hours fighting trees. Tomorrow, you'll do it again, and the day after, and every day until spring arrives and pretends winter was just a bad dream. But tonight, you'll sit close to the fire. Watch those logs burn. Know that every flame is your victory. Small, temporary, smoky, but yours. The fields wait for no one. Not even people who just spent the morning turning their spine into a question mark over firewood. So you trudge out past the house, past the chickens who judge you silently, past the goat who definitely judged you out loud. Weeds have appeared overnight. They always do. It's like they hold secret meetings and coordinate their invasion strategy. Today's target is your bean patch. Tomorrow, it'll be the corn. They're organized. You're tired. It's an unfair fight. You kneel in the dirt. Actually more like collapse in a controlled way. Your knees hit the ground and immediately file a protest. Noted. Denied. Get to work. The first weed pulls easy. Suspiciously easy. That's how they lure you in. Make you think this'll be quick. Then the next one has roots that reach China, and you're suddenly in a wrestling match with vegetation. Dirt gets under your fingernails. Not a little bit. All of it. Your fingernails are now just suggestions. Decorative dirt holders. You'll dig it out later with a stick. Or just accept your new life as part soil. The sun beats down. No shade out here. Just you and your poor life choices spread across a 1/4 acre of stubborn earth. Your hat helps. Barely. Mostly it just gives the sweat somewhere to collect before dripping into your eyes at the worst possible moment. Something bites you. Could be an ant. Could be a spider. Could be the weed fighting back. You don't stop to check. Stopping means acknowledging how much is left. Ignorance keeps you moving. Your back screams. Your knees join in. Your shoulders add harmony. It's a full-body chorus of regret. You hum along. What else can you do? The bean plants look grateful. Or maybe they just look like bean plants. Hard to tell. You're developing a relationship with vegetables that probably isn't healthy, but definitely is necessary. A crow lands nearby, watches you work, judges you. You glare back. The crow doesn't care. Crows never care. They're the teenagers of the bird world. You've been out here an hour, maybe 2. Time is a blur. The pile of pulled weeds grows, slowly, so slowly. Each one a tiny victory against chaos. Each one immediately replaced by 3 more you didn't notice. Your water jug is empty. When did that happen? Probably during the first hour. You're too stubborn to go refill it. That would mean admitting the weeds are winning. They're not winning. They're just participating very aggressively. Someone shouts from the house. Probably lunch. Probably late lunch. Your stomach agrees loudly, but you're almost done with this row. Almost. Just 12 more feet. Just 11. Just 10. The last weed of the row comes up with a satisfying rip. Roots and all. You hold it up like a trophy. The crow is unimpressed. You are unimpressed with the crow. It's mutual. You stand. Slowly. Very slowly. Your body makes sounds it shouldn't make. Creaks. Pops. A concerning grinding noise from your left hip. You pretend not to notice. The field looks better, marginally, if you squint and ignore the 17 other sections that still need work. But this section is done. That counts. You grab your pile of defeated weeds. They're already wilting, dramatic little things. You'll toss them to the goat. She'll eat them. She eats everything. It's her one redeeming quality. The walk back to the house feels longer than the walk out. Your legs have opinions, strong ones, all negative. You ignore them. You're good at ignoring things. It's basically a job requirement. Inside, someone hands you lunch, cold mush, again. You don't complain. Complaining costs energy. Energy costs food. Food costs work. It's a vicious cycle. You eat standing up. Sitting means never getting back up. You learned that lesson the hard way. Through the window you can see the field, still waiting, always waiting. Tomorrow brings more weeds, more dirt, more backache, but also more beans eventually. Maybe. If the weather cooperates. If the bugs don't revolt. If the goat minds her own business for once. You finish eating. Wipe your mouth on your sleeve. Head back outside. Because the fence won't fix itself either. The fence is drunk. That's the only explanation. It leans left like it's trying to tell you a secret. Several posts have given up entirely, just lying there. Deadwood held up by stubbornness and prayer. You assess the damage. It's bad, not catastrophic, just thoroughly inconvenient. The pigs got out last night. You know because you spent an hour chasing them. They thought it was hilarious. You did not. First step is pulling up the dead posts. They come up easier than expected. Too easy. The ground is soft here. Clay and regret. You'll need to dig deeper for the replacements. The shovel awaits, your old nemesis. You've been fighting this tool since dawn, and it's winning. The handle is smooth from years of use, probably decades. This shovel has outlived better men than you. You dig. The hole needs to be deep. 2 feet minimum. You get 6 inches down and hit a rock. Of course there's a rock. There's always a rock. The universe has a subscription service that delivers rocks directly under wherever you're digging. The rock doesn't want to move. You don't want to move it. Nobody asked either of you. So you negotiate with physics. Leverage. Profanity. More leverage. The rock shifts. You shift. The shovel nearly shifts through your foot. Everyone survives. Barely. Deeper now. The clay clings to the shovel. Each scoop weighs more than the last. Your arms are learning new limits. Your arms are not happy about this education. Finally, deep enough. You wrestle the new post into position. It's never straight on the first try. You adjust. It leans right. You adjust more. Now it leans left. You adjust harder. It's almost straight. Close enough. Colonial carpentry runs on good enough. Someone hands you the hammer. Where did they come from? Were they watching this whole time? Doesn't matter. You take the hammer. The nails are hand-forged, expensive. You cannot afford to lose even one. The first nail goes in crooked. The second bends. The third works. Success tastes like splinters and mild frustration. You move to the next post, and the next. The sun tracks across the sky like it's got somewhere important to be. You don't. You're stuck here until the fence remembers how to stand up straight. Your hands develop new blisters on top of old blisters. Blister layers. Like geological sediment, but more painful. The final post is the worst. It's always the worst. The hole hits bedrock. You hit your threshold. The post hits nothing because it won't go deep enough. You compromise. Everything in colonial life is compromise. You step back. The fence stands, mostly. It's not beautiful, but it's functional. The pigs will probably escape again next week, but not tonight. Tonight it holds. You gather your tools, the shovel, the hammer, Your dignity which fell in the second hole and got covered in clay. You'll rinse it off later. Maybe. Back to the house. The sun is setting. You've been outside all day. Your body is a map of small injuries, bruises, scratches, that one spot on your shoulder that definitely wasn't supposed to bend that way. Dinner waits. More cornmeal. Always cornmeal. You'd complain, but your mouth is too tired to form words that aren't grunts. You collapse onto the bench. Someone asks how the fence is. You grunt. They understand. Everyone understands grunts. It's the universal colonial language. Tomorrow the fence will need checking. The weeds will need pulling. The firewood will need chopping. It's always the same. Different day. Same mud. Same aches. Same stubborn refusal to let the land win. You're not winning, let's be clear, but you're not losing either. You're just surviving. One fence post, one weed, one log at a time. And somehow that's enough. Sleep is survival math, disguised as rest. You close your eyes, knowing tomorrow starts whether you're ready or not. The straw beneath you shifts. Someone kicks. Another snores. The house settles with sounds that could be wood expanding, or something deciding your pantry looks inviting. You've earned this rest through pure attrition. Hours spent convincing fence posts to stand upright. Negotiations with rocks that refused relocation. Your body catalogued every bruise, every splinter, every moment your muscles questioned their loyalty. Now they're filing formal complaints through your lower back. The blanket situation requires diplomacy. 3 people sharing coverage meant for 2. Someone always loses. Usually the person on the edge who wakes at midnight realizing they've been demoted to decorative trim. You curl tighter, preserve what warmth you've hoarded. Tomorrow's cold will arrive with its usual enthusiasm. Outside the window that isn't really a window, darkness does what darkness does best. It amplifies every sound into potential disaster. That scratching could be branches, could be the raccoon who's developed a personal vendetta against your root vegetables, could be your imagination running laps because your brain refuses to shut down after 16 hours of manual labor. The mice have started their evening shift. They don't punch clocks, but they're remarkably punctual. Somewhere between the walls, they're conducting business. Probably discussing your inadequate pest control measures, possibly planning expansion into territories you'd prefer they avoided. Your toes have achieved a tentative peace with temperature. Not warm exactly. More like they've agreed to stop sending distress signals if you promise not to move them. You honor this treaty. Movement means draft exposure. Draft exposure means renegotiating warmth from scratch. The neighbour's cow begins her nightly philosophical inquiry. A long, low sound that suggests she's contemplating existence, or possibly just the quality of today's hay. Either way, she's sharing her conclusions with everyone in earshot. Which is everyone. Cows don't whisper. Someone in the house mutters something incomprehensible. Dream speech in a language only exhaustion understands. You don't investigate. Sleep is too precious to spend on curiosity. Besides, they'll either work it out or wake up embarrassed. Either way, it's tomorrow's problem. The roof makes a sound like it's considering retirement. Just a small creak. A gentle reminder that architecture built from hope and available lumber has opinions about winter. You mentally add it to the list. Between fence repair and everything else, that list has become a novel. Your thoughts start doing that thing where they disconnect from logic. Suddenly, you're wondering if chickens dream, whether the goat who ate your shirt holds grudges, if rocks multiply overnight specifically to spite people with shovels. This is how you know sleep is approaching. Reality loses its grip. Nonsense becomes perfectly reasonable. The baby in the corner makes a small sound, not crying, just announcing continued existence. Someone shifts to check. The blanket situation redistributes. You lose 6 inches of coverage. Gain an elbow in your ribs. Family sleeping arrangements are contact sports with no referees. Somewhere distant, a dog barks. Another answers. A third joins in because dogs operate on social obligation. They're probably discussing the same nothing they discussed last night, but they're committed to the conversation. You respect their dedication while wishing they'd relocate it further away. The fire in the hearth has collapsed into embers, glowing quietly like tiny angry stars trapped in ash. Someone should probably add wood. That someone is definitely not you. You've achieved a precarious balance between cold and comfort. Disturbing it would mean starting over. The cold wins this round. Your mind drifts to tomorrow's work. Not planning exactly. More like your brain inventorying upcoming suffering. The wood won't chop itself. The water won't fetch itself. The animals won't feed themselves despite their confident attitudes suggesting otherwise. Everything requires human intervention, preferably yours. Definitely at dawn. A floorboard creaks. You freeze. Wait, nothing follows. Just the house doing house things, expanding or contracting or whatever wood does when nobody's watching. You release breath you didn't realize you were holding. Return to the serious business of unconsciousness. The straw mattress has developed new lumps since you laid down. You're certain of this. They've migrated, formed coalitions, decided your shoulder blade is the perfect location for a pointed convention. You shift slightly. The entire mattress crackles like you're sleeping on a percussion instrument. Someone's stomach rumbles. Could be yours, could be the person beside you, could be the house itself complaining about structural stress. Everything in Colonial America makes noise. Silence would be suspicious. You'd probably investigate it. The cat appears from somewhere, walks across everyone with the confidence of someone who owns the place. Which, technically, she does. She's earned it through dedicated mouse reduction. You're just the staff who occasionally provides warmth and refuses to acknowledge her superiority. Your feet have gone from cold to numb to some new state that might be transcendence. You wiggle toes, experimentally. They respond. Barely. Good enough. You'll discover their actual condition when morning forces you vertical. Until then, they're someone else's problem. The wind finds a new crack. Whistles through it like it's discovered a musical instrument. This will continue all night. You know this. Everyone knows this. Nobody's fixing it at midnight. You learn to incorporate wind songs into your sleep soundtrack. Add it to creaking wood and mouse conferences and distant cow philosophy. Dreams start mixing with reality. You're chopping wood that turns into bread that needs fencing. The goat is giving advice about rock removal. This makes perfect sense until you half wake and realize your brain is just sorting through the day's chaos. You let it continue. It's doing its best. The baby makes another sound. Different this time. Someone extracts themselves from the blanket pile, handles the situation, returns. The blanket redistribution favors you this time. You gain back those 6 inches, lose the elbow. Sleep is improving. Somewhere between awake and unconscious, you notice your breathing has synchronized with the person beside you. Not intentionally. Just bodies doing what bodies do when pressed together under insufficient covering. Efficiency through shared rhythm. Evolution had some practical ideas about warmth conservation. A mouse squeaks. The cat's ears swivel. You sense rather than see this shift in attention. Predator mode activated. Somewhere in the dark, a small drama is unfolding. You're not invested enough to watch. Just grateful someone's handling pest control night shift. Your jaw unclenches. You didn't know it was clenched, but apparently You've been grinding teeth through stress or cold or both. Colonial life offers many clenching opportunities. Your face decides to take a break. Small mercy, the blanket has developed a damp spot, someone's breath condensing, or sweat, or both. You adjust slightly. Find drier territory. This is fine. Everything is damp in winter. You're just choosing your preferred level of moisture. Outside, an owl asks its eternal question. Another owl answers with what sounds like disagreement. Owl theology is apparently contentious. They debate this regularly. You've never heard them reach consensus. Perhaps that's the point. Your shoulder finds a new position, one that doesn't hurt. This is temporary. You know this. Shoulders in colonial America don't stop hurting. They just rotate through different types of discomfort. But for now, this angle works. You'll take it. The house makes a settling sound, deep and groaning, like it's reconsidering its commitment to remaining upright. You're not worried. This house has survived worse. Probably. You hope. It's too late to move anyway. You've achieved sleep proximity. Changing locations would mean starting over. Someone's hand finds yours in the dark. Not romantic, just human. Confirmation you're both still here, still surviving, still somehow making this work. You squeeze back, release, return to your separate attempts at rest. The mice have relocated their conference. New venue, different wall. The acoustics are slightly better. They seem pleased with this development. You're just pleased they're not in the food stores. Tonight anyway. Your breathing deepens. Thought fragments scatter. The day's weight begins lifting. Not gone, just deferred, waiting politely in tomorrow's inbox. Right now you're allowed this stolen peace between labor and more labor. The cold creeps closer. You pull the blanket tighter. Someone else does the same. The resulting tug of war is brief. You reach détente. Everyone keeps their current allocation. Nobody's happy. Everyone survives. This is colonial sleep. Not restful, not comfortable, just necessary. A brief pause in the endless cycle of work that keeps you breathing. You take what you can get. Because dawn arrives whether you're prepared or not. And with it, another fence that needs fixing. Another animal that needs feeding. Another day of convincing the land you deserve to stay. But that's tomorrow's fight. Tonight you're just a body on straw, surrounded by people who smell like work, covered by blankets that smell like sheep, listening to a house that sounds like it might collapse but probably won't, and somehow impossibly this is enough. Your eyes close. Stay closed. The darkness wraps around you, not threatening, just present. You let go. Surrender to exhaustion. Tomorrow can wait. It has no choice. Morning arrives with its usual lack of consideration. Someone's already coughing. Another's muttering about the cold. Your eyes open to dim light filtering through gaps you thought you'd sealed last week. The straw beneath you has compressed into something resembling fossilized regret. You're awake. Congratulations. Day 2 of Forever begins now. First order of business. Deciding if that ache in your shoulder is new or just yesterday's ache that never left. Colonial bodies don't reset overnight. They accumulate damage like interest on a loan you never signed for. Roll onto your side. Discover your hip disagrees with this plan. Roll back. Your spine offers editorial commentary. This is normal. This is fine. Everyone else is doing the same choreographed morning groan. The person next to you sits up. Blanket shifts. Cold air rushes in like an uninvited opinion. You grab for fabric. Too late. The warmth has evacuated. Someone across the room is already fumbling with shoes. The sound of leather scraping floor announces the day's first casualty to productivity. Nobody speaks yet. Morning conversation requires energy none of you possess. Outside, the rooster continues his thesis on the nature of consciousness. He's been at it for 20 minutes. You've learned to hate him with a purity that borders on spiritual. Someone throws a shoe at the wall. The rooster, unaware and unconcerned, persists. This is his purpose. Your suffering is merely collateral. Your father's already up. You hear him outside chopping something. Probably wood. Possibly his own sanity. The rhythmic thunk, thunk, thunk is the household metronome. Everyone's morning moves in time with those strikes. Get up before he finishes or face questions about whether you're planning to contribute today. The answer's always yes. The question's always asked anyway. You swing legs over the side of the bed. Feet touch floor. Immediate regret. The dirt somehow colder than the air. You'd think it impossible. You'd be wrong. Toes curl reflexively. This helps nothing but feels necessary. Stand up. Wait for blood to remember it's supposed to circulate. Your vision spots briefly. Standard morning procedure. The washing basin situation hasn't improved overnight. Still dented. Still cold. Still shared by everyone who's about to use it before you. Someone's already splashing water onto their face with the enthusiasm of someone fulfilling a legal obligation. They wipe with the communal rag. You watch the rag darken. Your turn's coming. Start building emotional resilience now. Your sister's braiding hair by the window. She's developed a technique where she doesn't actually look at what she's doing. Muscle memory and hope. The braid emerges crooked. She doesn't notice. Nobody mentions it. Colonial beauty standards are less about perfection and more about, did you try? She tried. That's enough. Breakfast prep starts without announcement. Your mother's already at the hearth. The pot from last night's dinner is back on the fire. What's inside? Probably the same thing that was there yesterday. Possibly with additions. Definitely without improvements. The smell is neither good nor bad. It simply is. Olfactory neutrality. The highest achievement of colonial cuisine. Someone drops a spoon. It clatters across the floor. Rolls under something. Nobody retrieves it. There's a spoon graveyard under the furniture. Everyone knows. Everyone pretends not to. Someday far in the future, someone will move that cabinet and discover an archaeological site of dropped utensils. Today is not that day. You're handed a bowl. The contents look tired, like they've already lived a full life and are ready for retirement. You eat anyway. Chewing requires attention because there's always something unexpected. A husk, a pebble, occasionally something that might have been edible 3 days ago. You've learned not to investigate too closely. Ignorance is survival. Your brother's already outside. You can hear him arguing with a chicken. The chicken appears to be winning. This happens more often than anyone admits. Chickens are small dinosaurs with vendettas. They remember slights. They hold grudges. Your brother insulted one last week. The flock remembers. Clothing situation requires assessment. What you wore yesterday is still damp from yesterday's sweat. What you didn't wear yesterday is stiff from being ignored. Pick the lesser discomfort. Pull wool over your head. Feel it catch on your hair. Yank harder. Hair loses. Wool wins. This is the morning combat everyone wages silently. No one discusses it. Everyone experiences it. Your shoes have developed a personality, not a good one. They've decided the left one wants to go northeast, while the right one prefers anarchy. Walking becomes negotiation. You shuffle toward the door like someone trying to remember how legs work. Outside waits the day's assignments. Inside waits nothing but more cold. The sky's that particular shade of grey that promises nothing and threatens everything. Could be rain, could be snow, could be just aggressive bleakness. The clouds aren't telling. They're keeping their options open. You respect this. Commitment's overrated anyway. Chores don't wait for readiness. They exist independent of your willingness to face them. The chickens need feeding whether you've processed consciousness yet or not. The wood needs splitting regardless of your philosophical objections to effort. The cow needs milking on her schedule, not yours. She's made this clear through years of pointed staring. You grab the bucket. It's already disappointed in you. Buckets develop attitudes after enough use. This one's seen things, carried things, been dropped more times than anyone's counted. It's earned its judgment. You carry it toward the well anyway. The bucket's opinion is noted and ignored. Water duty is meditation disguised as labor. Lower the bucket. Wait for the splash. Haul it back up. Your shoulders file formal complaints. Noted. Denied. Haul again. The rope's worn smooth in specific places where generations of hands have gripped. You're adding your small contribution to the erosion. Someday this rope will be nothing but memory and friction. The water sloshes. You walk carefully. Still spill some. Always spill some. The path from well to house is marked by dark spots where everyone's spilled before you. You're continuing tradition. This is heritage. This is culture. This is annoying. Back inside, the morning chaos has intensified. Someone's looking for something. They're looking loudly. Someone else is explaining they don't know where it is. This explanation is also loud. Your mother's mediating while simultaneously stirring something. Her multitasking abilities border on supernatural. You've never seen her focus on just one thing. You're not sure it's possible. The fire needs attention. Someone needs to add wood before it dies. Everyone notices. Nobody moves. Classic standoff. You sigh. Walk over. Add logs. Sparks jump. You step back. Fire's satisfied. Temporarily. It'll need more soon. Fire's needy. Fire doesn't care about your schedule. Morning light's strengthening. You can see more details now. This isn't always improvement. More light means more visible dirt. The floor's situation is worse than you remembered. Sweep yesterday. Looks like you never touched it. This is the eternal struggle. Dirt regenerates faster than effort can eliminate it. You're not fighting dirt. You're fighting entropy. Entropy's winning. Your youngest sibling is trying to dress themselves. It's going poorly. One arm's through a leg hole. They're confused, but committed. You watch for a moment. Consider helping. Decide they need to learn. Also, you're tired. They'll figure it out. Eventually, probably before noon, breakfast dishes need clearing. Everyone's finished. Nobody's moving. The bowls sit there, radiating passive aggression. Your mother looks at the table, looks at you, says nothing. Doesn't need to. You start gathering dishes. Your siblings suddenly remember urgent business elsewhere. Convenient. The washing bucket's now grey. Everyone's face contributed to this colour. You dip your hands in. The water's given up any pretense of cleanliness. It's just wet now. Temperature somewhere between cold and why. You splash some on your face. Feel marginally more awake. Lie to yourself that this counts as hygiene. Someone's already complaining about the day ahead, reciting grievances like a prepared speech. Your father responds with something about character building. Nobody's convinced. Character's plenty built already. Any more building and you'll collapse under the weight of it. The animals outside are conducting their own morning meeting. Different agenda, same complaints. The rooster's still philosophizing. The cows judged everyone and found them wanting. The pigs are planning something. You can tell by their energy. Pigs always plot. Never trust a pig. They're smarter than they look, and they look pretty smart. Your boots are where you left them. Small miracle. Sometimes they wander. Not on their own. Someone borrows them, returns them to creative locations. You found boots in the woodpile. Under the chicken roost. Once hanging from a tree branch. Today, they're just by the door. Ordinary. Suspicious in its normalcy. Pull them on. Feel yesterday's sweat greet your feet. Boots don't dry overnight. They marinate. Every day adds layers to the archaeology inside. Someday these boots will be more foot-shaped than boot-shaped. Already halfway there. Your feet have opinions. The boots don't care. Never have. Never will. Step outside. The air hits different out here. Less suffocating. More hostile. Fair trade. The yard's a mess of mud, straw, and ambitious chickens. They scatter as you walk. Reform behind you. Chickens are liquid. They flow around obstacles. Reconstitute instantly. You've stopped trying to understand chicken physics. The work begins without ceremony. No inspiring speeches. No motivational moments. Just you and tasks that were waiting yesterday and will wait tomorrow. The fence needs checking. Something's always wrong with the fence. Fence repair is eternal. It's the Ouroboros of colonial maintenance. Fix one section, another breaks. Fix that. The first breaks again. Circle of life, circle of suffering. Your brother's already in the field. You can see him bent over rows. He straightens occasionally, stretches, bends again. This is his dance. Everyone's got their choreography. Yours involves more walking, less bending, different joint complaints, same exhaustion. The sun's climbing. Temperature's thinking about being less cruel. Thinking about it, not committing. The day's got plans and none of them involve your comfort. You accept this. You've always accepted this. What choice is there? Complain to the sky. Sky doesn't listen. Never has. Someone shouts your name. Needs help with something. Always needs help with something. You head over. The morning's rhythm established now. Work. Brief pause. More work. Occasional crisis. Return to work. This pattern will continue until sunset, then dinner, then sleep. Then repeat. This is life. This is normal. This is what survival looks like when stripped of romance and Instagram filters. You're 2 hours into the day, 10 more to go. Maybe 12. Depends on what breaks. Something always breaks. Your back already aches. Your hands are cold. Your stomach's debating whether that breakfast was food or just an interesting idea about food. But you're moving. Everyone's moving. The household machine's running. Not smoothly. Nothing here runs smoothly. But it runs. That's enough. Has to be. Because tomorrow's the same. And the day after. And the one after that. Colonial America doesn't offer variety. It offers consistency. The grinding, exhausting kind. You're not building a nation. You're building another day. One sore muscle. One patched fence, one irritated chicken at a time. Glory comes later. Right now there's just work, and cold, and the persistent feeling that your shoes are plotting against you, which they probably are. The goat gets loose. Again. Third time this week, maybe fourth. You've lost count somewhere between Tuesday's fence repair and yesterday's argument about whose turn it was to chase the thing down. The goat doesn't care about turns. The goat has opinions, strong ones, mostly about property lines being suggestions rather than rules. You spot it near the neighbour's cabbage patch, naturally, because the goat has taste. Your cabbage, dried and sad, holds no appeal. But fresh neighbour cabbage, that's worth the jailbreak. You approach slowly. The goat watches. This is a game. You both know it. The goat's been playing longer, has more experience, better instincts. You're just the amateur with sore feet and diminishing patience. The chase begins. You move left. Goat moves right. You fake right. Goat doesn't fall for it. Has seen this move before. Probably invented it. You try reasoning. The goat stares, chews thoughtfully, resumes destroying vegetables. Your neighbour appears, watches, says nothing, doesn't need to. The judgment's implicit. This is your goat, your problem. Your public humiliation. Eventually you corner it. Not through skill, through exhaustion. Yours mostly. The goat gets bored first, allows itself to be led home, struts really. Like it won, which it did. You repair the fence. Again, no, it won't hold. The goat knows too. You're both just going through motions now. Tomorrow brings another round. Different fence. Same goat. Identical outcome. Back at the house, things are happening. Always happening. The baby's crying. Someone broke something. Nobody admits it. The dog tracked mud everywhere. Took the scenic route apparently. Through every puddle. Across every clean surface. The chickens somehow got inside. Nobody knows how. Nobody ever knows how. Chickens are liquid. Defy physics. Exist in states that shouldn't be possible. Your daughter's arguing with your son about whose turn it is to fetch water. Neither wants it. Both have compelling arguments why the other should go. You settle it the old way. They both go. Neither's happy. Perfect compromise. They leave grumbling. You hear splashing 5 minutes later. Someone fell in, or pushed someone. Details unclear. Don't matter. Water still needs fetching. The fire needs attention. Always needs attention. It's needy, demanding. Goes out if ignored, smokes if overfed. There's a sweet spot. You miss it daily. Today's no different. Too much wood. Smoke fills the room. Everyone coughs. Nobody complains. This is normal. This is Tuesday or Thursday. Days blur together when they're all the same. Lunch approaches. Same discussion as yesterday. What's for lunch? The answer never changes. Disappoints everyone equally. Cornmeal or cabbage. Sometimes both if you're feeling festive. Nobody's feeling festive. You eat anyway. Fuel, not pleasure. The distinction matters less each day. Your body stopped expecting joy from food months ago, maybe years. Time's funny here. Stretches and compresses without pattern. Afternoon brings visitors, the kind you don't want. Tax collector maybe, or the neighbor about the goat. Could be the preacher checking on souls. None of these options inspire enthusiasm. You paste on hospitality, offer weak cider, make small talk about weather. Everyone complains. Weather's always wrong. Too hot or too cold. Too wet or too dry. Never just right. Goldilocks didn't live here. Wouldn't have lasted. They leave eventually. You return to work. The fence needs finishing. The roof needs patching. The door needs hanging properly. Been hanging wrong for months. You've grown accustomed. Adapted. Developed a special technique for opening it. Involves hip check and prayer. Works 60% of the time. Good enough. Your son returns. Reports the wells acting strange. This is bad news. Wells don't act strange in good ways. You investigate. The water's cloudy. Could be nothing. Could be everything. You taste it. Regret it immediately. Something's off. Not deadly off. Not yet. But moving that direction. You'll need to clean it. Tomorrow. Add it to the list. The endless list that never shortens. Evening comes whether you're ready or not. Usually not. The sun doesn't care about your schedule. It sets on its own time. Rude, really. No consideration. You gather the family. Count heads. Everyone's here. Small miracle. Some days people wander off, get distracted, end up 3 farms over helping with someone else's crisis. Today, everyone's accounted for. You'll take the win. Dinner's the same as lunch. Nobody expects different. The baby fusses. Your wife looks tired. More tired than yesterday. Tomorrow she'll look more tired still. This is the trend. The trajectory. You're all riding it together. Downward mostly. But together. That counts for something. After dinner comes the evening routine. Clean up. Endless clean up. Fighting entropy with wooden spoons and determination. You're losing. Everyone knows it. But you keep fighting anyway. Because stopping means surrendering. Means admitting the dirt wins. Can't have that. Won't have that. Even if the dirt's clearly winning. Someone mentions the harvest. It's coming. Ready or not? Probably not. You're never ready. But it comes anyway. Demands attention. Doesn't care about your other problems. Your fence issues, your goat drama, your well situation. Harvest is a tyrant. You'll deal with it when it arrives. Until then you'll worry. Productive worrying. Colonial America's favorite pastime. The children finally settle. Takes longer each night. They've got energy. Endless reserves. You remember having energy? Vaguely. Like a dream from someone else's life. Now you've got responsibilities, aches, a deep understanding of why your parents looked so tired. You get it now, wish you didn't, but understanding's not optional. Your wife sits by the fire, mending something. Always mending. If she stops mending, the family goes naked. Clothes fall apart faster than she can repair them. But she keeps trying. Needle moving steadily. Thread following. Small stitches holding civilization together. One patch at a time. You sit beside her. Say nothing. Nothing needs saying. You're both thinking the same thing. Tomorrow's identical to today. Day after that too. This is life now. This is always. The sameness is crushing. Also comforting. Predictable suffering beats surprising disaster. You'll take boring over catastrophic. Outside something howls. Could be wind. Could be wolves. Hard to tell. Nobody investigates. Whatever it is can howl alone. You're not going out there. Not in the dark. Not with bare feet and low enthusiasm. Morning brings clarity. Or more howling. Either way, you'll deal with it then. The fire burns low. You should add wood. Don't want to move. Your wife doesn't mention it. She doesn't want to move either. You both sit. Watching embers. Thinking about nothing. Everything. Tomorrow's chores. Yesterday's failures. The goat's next escape attempt. It's coming. You know it. The goat knows it. Probably planning it right now. Eventually you stand. Bank the fire. Check the door. It's still hanging wrong. You jiggle it until it sort of closes. Good enough. Everything's good enough. Nothing's perfect. Perfect died somewhere around the second week. You buried it next to optimism and full nights of sleep. Visit the grave occasionally. Pay respects. Move on. Bed calls. That lumpy, uncomfortable, flea-infested bed. Sounds terrible. Feels worse. But it's yours. You've earned it. Through sweat and splinters and small victories over stubborn goats. You collapse onto it. Your wife follows. The bed creaks, protests, accepts its fate. You close your eyes, hear the house settling, the mice partying, your neighbour's cow having opinions, the usual symphony, white noise of colonial life. You're too tired to care, too worn to worry. Tomorrow brings fresh problems. Tonight brings sleep. Maybe, if you're lucky, if the bedbugs take the night off, if the baby stays quiet, if the goat stays put. Big ifs, unlikely ifs. But you'll manage. You always do. Because what's the alternative? Complaining to the void. The void doesn't listen, never has. You've tried, so you close your eyes. Hope for rest. Settle for unconsciousness. It's enough. Has to be. Tomorrow's already forming, taking shape in the darkness, preparing its assault. Let it come. You've survived this far. One more day won't kill you. Probably. Morning arrives. Not gently, never gently. Just arrives. Like a bill collector, nobody invited. You're awake because your body decided sleep was negotiable. Your back disagrees. Loudly. Every joint files a formal complaint. You ignore them. Complaints don't feed chickens or split wood. They just waste time you don't have. The house stirs. Everyone moving in slow motion, like actors in a play nobody rehearsed. Your wife's already up, has been for an hour probably. The fire's going, water's heating. Breakfast is forming itself into another bowl of disappointment. You don't ask questions. Questions suggest alternatives exist. They don't. Outside, the rooster's still screaming. That bird's got one job: make sure everyone knows. Morning happened, in case the cold didn't make it obvious, in case the darkness lifting wasn't enough. The rooster's basically a feathered alarm clock with aggression issues. You respect the dedication, hate the execution. Your children stumble around like tiny drunk philosophers, confused about existence, annoyed at consciousness. You understand completely. Been feeling that way for years. They'll learn. Give them time. Give them about a decade of dawn chores. They'll master the art of vertical unconsciousness, walking while technically asleep, colonial multitasking at its finest. Someone's crying. Always someone crying. Could be the baby. Could be the toddler who stepped on something sharp. Could be your neighbor's kid who wandered over because their house ran out of chaos. Hard to tell. Crying's just ambient noise now, like wind through cracks. Part of the soundscape. You tune it out. Focus on boots. Getting boots on is victory number one. The morning routine unfolds. Predictable as taxes. More depressing too. Fetch water. Check animals. Confirm nobody died overnight. Success means another day of the same. Failure means paperwork. Explaining things to neighbors. Digging holes. You prefer success. Significantly less digging involved. Your oldest brings wood. Drops half of it. You don't comment. Commenting requires energy. Energy requires food better than cornmeal. Circle of colonial disappointment continues. He'll pick it up. Eventually. When he realizes cold beats pride. That lesson usually takes until noon. The kitchen smells like smoke and effort. Your wife's performing miracles with ingredients that gave up weeks ago. Turnips past their prime. Onions with ambition but no flavor. Salt that's more memory than seasoning. She's making it work. Women always do. Men chop things. Women make things edible. Division of labor works fine until you realize her job's harder. Breakfast appears. You eat without enthusiasm. Enthusiasm died around the third winter. Now you just chew, swallow, exist. The food's fuel. Nothing more. Pretending otherwise just makes disappointment sharper. Better to expect nothing. Be pleasantly surprised by anything above gruel. Hasn't happened yet. Still waiting. Your wife mentions the fence. Again, that fence has been mentioned daily for 6 months. You nod. Nodding costs nothing. Fixing the fence costs time you're spending on literally everything else. The fence can wait. Everything can wait. Nothing's truly urgent until it's catastrophic. Colonial time management at its finest. The children finish. Scatter like startled birds. Off to their assigned suffering. Water duty. Animal duty. Existential dread duty. Everyone's got responsibilities. Nobody's got enthusiasm. Enthusiasm's for people with extra food and working roofs. You've got neither. You stand, stretch, feel every year of your life compressed into one lower back. That's normal. Normal is pain with purpose. You head outside, face the day. The day doesn't care about your feelings. Never has. Probably never will. The day just exists. Demands participation. Offers nothing in return except another identical tomorrow. The sun's fully up now, mocking you with brightness. Like the universe is cheerful. Optimistic even. The universe clearly hasn't met your goat. That goat's plotting something. You can see it in those horizontal pupils. Evil lives there. Pure, calculated evil. Fields need attention. Always need attention. You walk toward them. Slow. Deliberately slow. Not because you're avoiding work. Because rushing accomplishes nothing except pulled muscles. Colonial wisdom. Move steady. Last longer. Rush once. Regret forever. Your neighbor waves. You wave back. Neither of you stops. Stopping means conversation. Conversation means hearing about his fence, his goat, his theories about weather. You've heard them multiple times. No updates needed. Wave and move. Perfect compromise. The work begins. Repetitive, mind-numbing, exactly like yesterday, exactly like tomorrow. You find comfort in predictability, not joy. Comfort. Joy requires surplus energy. You're running on fumes and spite. Spite's surprisingly effective fuel. Keeps you vertical, keeps you moving, keeps you from lying down in the field and becoming fertilizer. Hours pass. The sun climbs. Gets hot. Too hot. You're sweating through your only shirt. Again. That shirt's more sweat than fabric at this point. Walking salt lick with sleeves. Attractive isn't the goal, functional is. Shirt's still attached. Counts as winning. Your back's protesting louder now. Joined by your shoulders. Your knees. Basically, everything below your neck and above your ankles. Your body's staging a coup. You ignore it. Coups require attention. Attention you're dedicating to not dying in a field. Midday approaches. You're not stopping for lunch. Lunch is a luxury for people who finished morning chores. You're still working on yesterday's list. Getting behind is easy. Catching up is theoretical. You've accepted permanent backlog as lifestyle. Makes peace with reality. Reality doesn't negotiate. The goat appears, right on schedule. That goat has timing, uncanny timing. Shows up exactly when you're most vulnerable, most tired, most likely to make mistakes. You stare. Goat stares back. Mexican standoff in a colonial field. You blink first. Always do. Goat knows it. You return to work. Goat watches. Judging silently. Goats are excellent judges. Terrible at everything else. Spectacular at judgment. You feel it. That horizontal gaze burning into your soul. Assessing your worth. Finding you wanting. You agree with the goat. Doesn't make it less annoying. The day stretches. Becomes longer than physically possible. Time does that here. Expands and contracts based on misery. More misery equals longer time. Physics nobody asked for. You've got PhD in suffering chronology. Earned through experience. Paid tuition in blisters. Your wife appears. Brings water. You drink. Don't speak. Speaking wastes water. Water's precious. Words are cheap. She understands. Married long enough to communicate through silence. She leaves. You continue. The cycle completes itself. Afternoon settles in. Brings nothing new. Just more of the same. Same dirt. Same tools. Same aching everything. You've achieved equilibrium. Balance between effort and collapse. Stay on the line. Don't tip either direction. Tipping means quitting or dying. Both seem appealing. Neither's practical. Children pass by, carrying things. You don't ask what. Knowing creates responsibility. Responsibility creates work. You've got work. Don't need more. They're alive. Moving. Probably not bleeding. Good enough. Colonial parenting standards. Low but effective. The sun finally starts descending. Slowly, reluctantly, like it's enjoying watching you suffer. Sun's got front row seats to daily struggle. Never intervenes, just watches. Burns, moves on. You relate to the sun. Showing up daily. Providing minimum necessary service. Leaving without fanfare. Evening approaches. You're still working. Always still working. Work doesn't end because sun sets. Work ends when everything's done. Everything's never done. Therefore, work never ends. Logic is depressing, also accurate. You finally stop. Not because you're finished, Because darkness makes continuing stupid. Can't see what you're doing. Risk injuring yourself. Injury means less work tomorrow. Less work means family suffers. Family suffering is unacceptable. Therefore, you stop. For them, not for you. The walk home is long, longer than the walk out, always is. Gravity's stronger heading back. Physics of exhaustion. Your legs feel borrowed from someone older, someone less capable, someone who gave up years ago. You're just operating the rental legs. Poorly. Home appears. Looks the same as this morning. Still standing. Small miracle. You half expected it to collapse out of sympathy. It didn't. Buildings have more resilience than people. Or less sense. Hard to tell. Inside smells like dinner. Another creative interpretation of food. Your wife's a magician, making something from nothing. You appreciate it. Don't say so. Appreciation is understood. Doesn't need voicing. Voicing things uses energy needed for chewing. You sit. The chair creaks. Everything creaks. You. The chair, the house, the world. Creaking is the colonial national anthem. You're all singing it. Different pitches. Same exhaustion. Dinner appears. You eat. Family eats. Nobody talks. Talking is for people with news. You've got nothing new. Yesterday was identical. Tomorrow will match. News requires change. Change isn't happening. Therefore, silence. The meal ends. Children scatter again. Evening chores await. Endless chores. They never stop. Just pause. Briefly. Then resume. Like a nightmare that's also real life. You sit longer. Stare at nothing. Thinking about nothing. Nothing is underrated. Nothing demands nothing. Provides nothing. Perfect balance. You've mastered nothing. Years of practice. Finally paying off. Your wife cleans. Always cleaning. Cleaning never ends either. Dirt is eternal. Effort is temporary. She fights anyway. Brave woman. Stupid maybe. Definitely brave. You married well. Or she married poorly. Depends on perspective. The fire burns low. You should add wood. Don't want to move. Moving seems impossible. Your body's filed for bankruptcy. Assets depleted. Creditors circling. You're operating on debt now. Borrowing from tomorrow's energy. Tomorrow's going to be angry. You'll deal with it then. Eventually you stand. Add wood. The effort nearly kills you. Dramatic, but accurate. Simple tasks feel monumental. Because they are. Everything's monumental when you're running on empty. Night settles completely. The house darkens. The world disappears. You're left with family, firelight, silence. It's almost peaceful. Almost. The goat's still plotting. You can feel it. Through walls, across distance. That goat's planning something. Tomorrow, probably. Maybe tonight. Goats don't rest. Neither does paranoia. You head toward bed. The lumpy, disappointing bed. Your reward for another day survived. Some reward. But it's yours. You earned it. Through sweat, through pain, through sheer stubborn existence. The bed receives you, complains about it. You ignore the complaints. Everything complains. You've stopped listening. Listening just makes things worse. Your wife joins you, says nothing. Nothing needs saying. Another day done. Another night beginning. Another tomorrow approaching. The cycle continues. Endless. Unchanging. Exhausting. You close your eyes. Hope for sleep. Get something close enough. Colonial sleep. Interrupted. Uncomfortable. Better than nothing. Barely. The last thought before unconsciousness. Tomorrow's coming. Ready or not? Mostly not. Never ready. Just persistent. Morning will arrive. Not gently. Never gently. Just arrive. Like today did. Like yesterday did. like every day does. And you'll face it, because what else can you do? Morning arrives. Same as yesterday, same as always. The rooster screams. You pretend not to hear. Doesn't work, never works. Your body weighs approximately 3 times what it should. Gravity increased overnight. Physics changed. You're the victim. The straw beneath you stopped being comfortable approximately 6 months ago. Now it's just aggressive, poking, jabbing, making its opinions known through your ribcage. You shift. Everything crackles. The mattress, your joints, the air itself. Sound is the only thing that moves faster than your desire to stay horizontal. Someone's already up. Of course they are. Probably been up for hours. Judging you, silently, through the walls. You can feel the judgment. It's warmer than the blanket, more present than your motivation. You contemplate staying in bed, briefly. The fantasy lasts 3 seconds. Then reality arrives, wearing work boots, carrying a to-do list that outweighs your optimism. The floor's cold, always cold. Could be summer, still cold. The floor exists in its own climate, perpetually winter, permanently hostile. Your feet remember this. They tried to forget, failed spectacularly. Now they're reminding you, through every nerve, every step, every regret about being born before heated floors. You dress, same clothes, different day. The shirt smells like yesterday's work, because it was yesterday's work, and the day before, and the day before that. Laundry happens eventually, just not today. Today you're wearing your achievements, your sweat, your questionable life choices. Fashion's optional, smells inevitable. Outside sounds busy, too busy. Someone's already chopping wood. You can hear the axe. Each strike a reminder. You're behind schedule, always behind schedule. The schedule doesn't care. It existed before you, will exist after you. You're just passing through, slowly, painfully, with insufficient coffee that doesn't exist yet. Breakfast waits. Same bowl, same mush, same conversation with your soul about whether this counts as food. Your stomach disagrees, loudly, publicly, without shame. It wants something better. It's not getting something better. It'll accept what's offered, complain later, during work, when you can't do anything about it. The family gathers. Everyone looks tired, because everyone is tired. Tired is the default. Rested is the myth. You eat, chew, swallow, repeat. The mush fights back. Texture like regret. Taste like compromise. Temperature like disappointment. You finish anyway. Because finishing means starting, and starting means surviving. And surviving's the whole point. Chores don't wait. Chores never wait. They've been waiting all night, patiently, menacingly, with the confidence of things that know they'll win. You grab tools, head outside. The sun's up, already judging, already hot, already making promises it won't keep about this being a good day. The goat's first, always the goat. It stares. You stare back. Standoff. Daily tradition. Neither of you blinks. Neither of you wins. Eventually you feed it. It doesn't say thank you. Goats don't do gratitude. They do scheming, planning, plotting your downfall while chewing breakfast. Water needs hauling, endless hauling. The well's exactly where you left it. Far, too far, unnecessarily far. Whoever built this place hated convenience, loved suffering, believed in character building through unnecessary distance. You fill buckets, carry them, spill half, curse quietly, return, repeat. It's cardio, unwanted cardio, mandatory cardio, the kind that builds resentment instead of muscle. The chickens scatter. They always scatter. You're not threatening. They don't care. You're large. You're moving. That's enough. They panic, run, trip over each other. Poultry chaos, feathered hysteria. You collect eggs, the eggs they left behind while fleeing. Ungrateful birds. You fed them. They repay you with panic and inconvenience. Firewood next. The pile's smaller than yesterday, because yesterday used wood. Today needs wood. Tomorrow will need wood. The cycle's eternal, relentless. Wooden. You split logs. Each swing an argument with physics. Each crack a small victory. Each piece a reminder that winter exists. Will return. Demands preparation. You stack. Organize. Pretend you're ahead. You're not ahead. You're just less behind. The fence needs checking. The fence always needs checking. Something's always wrong. A post. A rail. A section that decided to retire early. You inspect. Find problems. Solve nothing. Add them to the list. The list that grows faster than crops. The list that outlives hope. Midday arrives without warning. Suddenly you're hungry again. How? You just ate. Hours ago. Your body doesn't care. It needs fuel. You're a machine. Machines need fuel. Even poorly designed machines running on spite and cornmeal. You head inside. Lunch waits. Same table, different meal, same taste. The family's already there. Everyone eating, nobody talking. Talking wastes energy. Energy's precious. More precious than conversation. You eat, fast, efficiently, without joy. Food's not about joy. It's about continuing. Back outside. Afternoon stretches ahead. Miles of afternoon, acres of work. You tackle the next thing, then the next, then the next. Everything takes longer than expected. Because expectations are lies we tell ourselves. Reality doesn't care about your timeline. It operates independently, mockingly, with the confidence of something that can't be fired. The garden needs weeding. Weeds don't need help. They're thriving, flourishing, living their best lives. Meanwhile, your vegetables look concerned, worried, like they're reconsidering their commitment to growing. You pull weeds. They resist. They've got roots, deep roots, committed roots. You pull harder, win eventually. The victory feels hollow. Tomorrow brings more weeds, always more weeds. Sweat happens, constantly, everywhere. Your shirt's soaked, your face is dripping. Your back's creating its own weather system. There's no relief, no shade, no break, just work, more work, different work, same exhaustion. The sun moves, slowly, mockingly, taking its time, like it's got nowhere to be. You've got everywhere to be, everything to do. It doesn't care, just drifts, lazy, bright, judgmental. You work faster, doesn't help. There's always more. The more is infinite. Your energy isn't. Animals need tending. Again, they needed tending this morning. They need it now. They'll need it tonight. Animals are needy, demanding, without appreciation. You feed, water, check. They ignore you, completely. Your staff. Staff doesn't get acknowledgement, just expectations, and complaints when dinner's late. The well calls again, because of course it does. More water, more buckets, more walking. Your shoulders hate you. Your back's filed a formal complaint. Your legs are considering strike action. You ignore them. Keep moving. Movement's mandatory. Stopping means falling behind. Behind is unacceptable. Behind is disaster. Evening approaches. Finally, mercifully, the sun starts thinking about leaving. About time. You've been here all day. It's had one job. One job. Move across sky. Took forever. Showed no urgency. No consideration for your schedule. Typical. Dinner's cooking. You smell it. Barely. Through the exhaustion. Through the dirt. Through the complete collapse of your sensory system. You head inside. Sit. The chair creaks. You creak. Everything creaks. The house, the furniture, your bones, your spirit. Creaking's universal. The language everything speaks after a long day. Food arrives. You eat. Mechanical. Automatic. Fuel going in. Energy attempting to return. Not succeeding. Food's good. Food's terrible. Food exists. That's enough. You're too tired to have opinions. Opinions require energy. Energy's gone. Left hours ago. Won't return until tomorrow. Maybe. The family eats together. In silence. The good silence. That we're all too exhausted to pretend silence. Nobody needs conversation. Nobody wants it. Everyone just needs food. Rest. The promise that tomorrow might be different. It won't be. But the promise helps. Dishes wait. Someone handles them. Not you. You've contributed enough today. Debatable. But you're claiming it anyway. You sit. Stare. Think about nothing. Nothing's underrated. Nothing demands nothing. Provides nothing. Perfect balance. You've achieved nothing. Congratulations. The fire burns low. Should add wood. Don't want to move. Moving seems impossible. Your body's declared independence, formed its own government, voted unanimously to stay seated. You respect democracy. Stay sitting. The fire can wait. Everything can wait. You've waited all day. Someone else's turn. Children appear, briefly, like ghosts, dirty ghosts, tired ghosts. They mumble something. You mumble back. Communication happened, barely. Technically, they disappear. Good. Less noise. More nothing. Nothing continues to be excellent. Your wife moves around. Always moving. How? What's her secret? Does she run on different fuel? Different physics, you'd ask. Too tired. Questions require effort. Effort's unavailable. Permanently out of stock. Back-ordered indefinitely. Night settles completely. The day's over. Officially. Finally. You survived. Again. Another day crossed off. Another day identical to the last. Another day promising tomorrow will be exactly the same. You believe it. Because it's true. Truth's reliable. Boring. But reliable. Time for bed. The announcement nobody makes. Everyone just knows. Bodies know. Souls know. The collective exhaustion knows. You stand. Slowly. Carefully. Like you're made of old wood. You are made of old wood. Metaphorically. Spiritually. Possibly literally at this point. The bedroom waits. Same bed. Same straw. Same lumps. Same complaints. You don't care. You're beyond caring. Caring requires energy. You've got none. Zero. Negative amounts. You owe energy to tomorrow. Tomorrow will collect. With interest. You collapse. The bed complains. You ignore it. Mutual disrespect. Long-standing tradition. You pull the blanket. It doesn't cover everything. Never covers everything. You choose. Feet or shoulders. Can't have both. Physics again. Always physics. Ruining everything. The house settles. Creaks. Groans. Shares its feelings. You share yours. Silently. Through exhaustion. Through the complete surrender of consciousness. Sleep approaches. Not gently. Like a hammer. Fast. Brutal. Necessary. Tomorrow's coming. You know this. Dread this. Accept this. Because what else can you do? Nothing. That's what. Nothing's your specialty, your achievement, your legacy. You've mastered nothing. Finally, after years of practice, the payoff's disappointing. But at least it's yours. Your last thought, before darkness, before unconsciousness, before the brief escape from being alive in colonial America. Tomorrow's going to be identical. Exactly identical. Perfectly, horrifically, exhaustingly identical. and you'll do it again, because that's what you do, what everyone does, what life is, here, now, forever. The thought's not comforting, it's just true. Sleep takes you anyway, whether you're ready or not. Morning arrives, again, same rooster, same complaint, same cold floor waiting to punish your feet. You don't leap out of bed, nobody leaps. You negotiate with gravity. Convince your joints they're still functional. Test your back. It protests, loudly. You ignore it. Ignoring things is survival. You've mastered ignoring, cold, pain, the fact that yesterday was identical. Tomorrow will be too. The fire needs attention, always needs attention. Fire's needy, demanding, but also essential. You can't ignore fire. Fire doesn't tolerate being ignored, so you crawl from the straw, shuffle toward the hearth, knees crack, spine complains. Everything hurts. Everything always hurts. Pain's just the background noise now, the soundtrack to colonial existence. Outside, the world continues not caring. Sun rises. Weather happens. Animals need feeding. Land needs working. Your opinion? Irrelevant. Nature doesn't take requests. Doesn't offer refunds. You showed up. Now you work. That's the deal. Nobody signed it. Everyone honors it. Because the alternative's starvation. Death. The end of your genetic line. Strong motivators. Breakfast waits. Calling it breakfast feels generous. It's corn. Again. Always corn. Corn for breakfast. Corn for lunch. Corn for dinner. Corn in your dreams. Haunting you, mocking you. You chew, swallow. Pretend it's nourishment. Your body accepts it. Barely. Just fuel. Nothing more. Pleasure's not part of the equation. Pleasure's for people in paintings. People with futures. You've got chores. The animals don't feed themselves. Wish they would. They don't. So you trudge outside, scatter grain, check water, hope nothing died overnight. Sometimes things die. You find them. Deal with it. Move on. Sentimentality's expensive. Can't afford it. The chickens cluck. The cow lows. The goat judges you silently. You judge it back. Mutual disdain. The foundation of your relationship. Fields await. Always awaiting. Patient. Relentless. You walk toward them. Boots heavy with mud. Yesterday's mud. Last week's mud. Mud's permanent. Part of the uniform. You plow. Or weed, or harvest, or whatever season demands. Seasons dictate everything. You obey. Rebellion means hunger. Hunger means death. Death's inconvenient. So you obey. Your back screams. You ignore it. Hands blister. Ignore those too. The sun climbs. Gets hotter or colder, depending. Neither's comfortable. Comfort's not available. Hasn't been available, won't be available. You've accepted this. Acceptance is freedom, sort of. Freedom from expectation, freedom from hope. Hope's dangerous, gets you killed. Better to expect nothing, achieve nothing, survive. That's success. Midday arrives, time blurs. Could be noon, could be 3. Nobody knows. Sun's high, that's the measurement. You eat. Standing up. More corn. Maybe an onion. If you're lucky, luck's relative. Today you're not lucky. Just corn. You chew. Swallow. Return to work. The field hasn't moved. Still waiting. Always waiting. Other colonists dot the landscape. Fellow sufferers. You wave. They wave back. Nobody talks. Too tired. Too busy. Too aware that conversation requires energy. Energy's for survival, not socializing. You work in parallel, separate but united. United in misery. Misery loves company, but doesn't require conversation. Afternoon drags. Time moves differently when you're suffering. Slower, heavier. Each minute weighs more than the last. You count them. Then stop counting. Counting makes it worse. Better to just exist. Mindlessly, mechanically. Hand to earth, earth to hand. Repeat forever, or until sunset, whichever comes first. The sun finally drops. Thank something. God, nature, physics. Doesn't matter. It's dropping. Workday's ending. Technically, you drag yourself home, feet barely lifting, body operating on fumes, emotional fumes, physical fumes, spiritual fumes. You're running on nothing, have been for hours, will be tomorrow. That's life. Home appears. Leaning, drafty, smelling of smoke and resignation. Beautiful. You enter, collapse onto the nearest surface. Could be a chair, could be the floor. Hard to tell. Everything's uncomfortable. Might as well be the floor. Floor's honest. Doesn't pretend to be furniture. Just admits it's ground. Respect that. Dinner preparations begin. Someone else's problem. You contributed enough. More than enough. Your share's done. You sit, stare, think about nothing. Nothing's underrated. Nothing requires nothing. Perfect trade. You've mastered nothing. Finally. After years. The payoff's disappointing, but it's yours. The family moves around. Ghosts in your peripheral vision. Talking, probably. You don't listen. Listening requires attention. Attention requires energy. You're bankrupt. Emotionally, physically, spiritually. Every account's empty. You're operating on credit. Borrowed from tomorrow. Tomorrow will collect. With interest. Brutal interest. Food appears. You eat. Don't taste it. Tasting's optional. Swallowing's mandatory. You swallow. Repeatedly. Until the bowl's empty. Someone takes it. You don't notice. Don't care. Caring's exhausted. Packed its bags. Left without notice. Won't return. Probably. Night settles. Finally. The day's over. Officially. You survived. Another tally mark. Another identical day crossed off. Another tomorrow promised. Threatening. Looming. You dread it. Accept it. Can't change it. So you surrender. Gracefully. Or not. Grace optional. Surrender mandatory. Bed calls. Same lumpy nightmare. Same straw. Same complaints. You don't argue. Arguments require energy. You shuffle toward it. Collapse. The straw crunches. Protests. You protest back. Silently. Through exhaustion. Through the complete abandonment of consciousness. Sleep approaches. Not gently. Never gently. Like a hammer. Fast. Necessary. Brutal. Your last thought. Before darkness. Before escape. Before the brief reprieve from colonial existence. Tomorrow's identical. Exactly. Perfectly. Horrifically identical. You'll do it again. Because that's what you do. What everyone does. What life is. Here. Now. Forever. The thought's not comforting. Just true. And somehow, despite everything, despite the pain, the exhaustion, the endless repetition, the complete absence of hope, you're still here, still breathing, still surviving. That counts for something. Maybe, probably not, but maybe, you'll take maybe. Maybe's all you've got. Maybe, and tomorrow's definitely coming, ready or not. The house settles, creaks, groans, shares its nightly complaints. You share yours, silently, through the slow descent into unconsciousness, through the surrender to sleep, through the acceptance that this is life, this is survival, this is colonial America, and you're living it, barely, but living. That's the victory, small, unimpressive, yours. Sleep takes you, finally, mercifully, completely. Tomorrow waits, patient, inevitable, identical, but tomorrow's problem. Tonight you sleep, tomorrow you wake, and the cycle continues forever, or until something breaks. You, the system, the rooster. Something's breaking eventually. Everything breaks. But not tonight. Tonight, you sleep. And that's enough. You wake up one final morning. Same rooster. Different realization. This isn't practice anymore. This is it. This is the life. The only life. The one you're living. Right now. Forever. Or close enough. The straw beneath you hasn't gotten softer. Won't get softer. This is peak comfort. Maximum luxury. Best it'll ever be. Your back still hurts. Will hurt tomorrow. Will hurt until you die. Probably what kills you. Death by accumulated backache. They'll write it on your tombstone. Assuming anyone bothers with tombstones, most don't. Too expensive. Too permanent. Just bury you. Move on. Life continues. You've survived weeks now. Months maybe. Time's blurred. Lost meaning. Days blend together like poorly mixed porridge. Each one identical. Each one exhausting. Each one somehow survivable. You're tougher than you thought. Not by choice. By necessity. Toughness isn't optional. It's mandatory. Quit being tough, quit being alive. Simple equation. The cold hits. Same as always. You don't flinch anymore. Flinching's for newcomers. For people with hope. You've graduated. Advanced class. Expert level suffering. The cold's just temperature now. Not punishment. Not torture. Just physics. Happening to you. Constantly. Forever. Breakfast appears. Corn. Obviously corn. What else would it be? You've stopped wondering about alternatives. Alternatives don't exist. Only corn exists. Corn and disappointment. Sometimes both simultaneously. Usually both simultaneously. You eat. Mechanical. Automatic. Your body's learned to process corn without consulting your brain. Evolution happening in real time. Humanity adapting to cornmeal. Darwin would be proud. Or horrified. Probably both. The work calls. Doesn't actually call. Just exists. Waiting. Patient. Eternal. You head outside. Boots on. Shirt damp. Hat crooked. This is your uniform. Your identity. Colonial farmer. Generic. Replaceable. Surviving. That last part matters. Surviving's the whole point. Not thriving. Not succeeding. Just continuing. One more day, then another, until you can't. Then someone else continues. The land doesn't care who works it, just demands someone does. Your hands are different now. Barely recognize them. Calloused, scarred, permanently stained. They've become tools, meat tools, attached to your wrists, functional, but ugly. You don't mourn their previous softness. Softness was useless. Softness couldn't grip a plough, couldn't split wood, couldn't survive. These hands can, that's what matters. Function over form, survival over aesthetics. The field stretches. Endless. You're personal forever. You'll work this field until you die. Then your children work it. Then their children. Generational servitude to dirt. Nobody signed up. Everyone participates. The American dream. Before it was a dream. When it was just dirt and work. And the faint hope that next year's harvest beats this year's. Hope usually disappointed, but hope's free. Work costs everything. Other colonists exist. Somewhere. Doing the same things. Fighting the same fights. Losing the same battles against nature, weather, and their own bodies. You're all united, not through friendship, through mutual suffering, shared misery, the bonds formed by collective exhaustion. You don't visit, don't socialize, don't need to. You understand each other perfectly, from a distance, through silence, through the universal language of barely surviving. The animals judge you daily. The cow, the chickens, That goat, especially that goat, they know. They see your weakness, your exhaustion, your complete inability to control anything. But they depend on you. You depend on them. Mutual dependence disguised as agriculture. You feed them. They feed you. Eventually, after you kill them. Circle of life. Colonial edition. Less singing. More blood. Significantly more practical. Your wife endures beside you. Not happily. Nobody's happy. Happy's not available. But she endures. Cooking impossible meals from nothing. Mending clothes that died years ago. Raising children in conditions that would horrify future generations. She's stronger than you. Always has been. Women here have to be. They're managing households while slowly dying from exhaustion and childbirth. You're just fighting fields. She's fighting entropy itself. You'd help more. If you had energy. You don't. So she continues. Silently. Resentfully. Necessarily. The children grow. Somehow. Against odds. Despite nutrition. Despite everything. They're tougher than both of you. Built different. Adapted. They don't remember softness. Never had it. Can't miss it. This is normal for them. This is life. They'll tell their children about the easy days. When things were simple, their children won't believe them. The cycle continues. Each generation romanticizing the previous. Each generation suffering identically. Progress is a lie. Only repetition exists. Your body's a catalogue of injuries. Each scar tells a story, usually a boring story, about carelessness, or bad luck, or the universe's general hostility toward human flesh. You've stopped counting them, stopped caring. They're decoration now, proof of survival. Battle scars from a war against normalcy. You're losing, but slowly. That's winning by colonial standards. The sun sets. Again. Always again. You've seen 1,000 sunsets now. Maybe more. Lost count. They're all identical. Pretty sometimes. Usually just a reminder that another day ended. You survived. Again. Small victory. Meaningless victory. But yours. You'll take it. Dinner happens. Food appears. You eat. The family eats. Nobody speaks. Speech is exhausted. Language is tired. Communication happens through presence, through shared suffering, through the mutual acknowledgement that tomorrow's identical. Words can't improve that. So words stay silent. Better that way. Honest. Night arrives. Your reward. Your escape. Your brief death before actual death. You collapse into straw. The straw's given up too. Stop pretending to be comfortable. Now it's just honest. We're both suffering, it says. At least we're suffering together. You appreciate the honesty. Prefer it to false promises. Sleep approaches. You don't fight it. Fighting anything requires energy. You're operating on nothing. Have been for weeks. Will be forever. You surrender. Gladly, gratefully, completely. Tomorrow exists. Tomorrow's identical. Tomorrow's inevitable. But tomorrow's not tonight. Tonight you sleep. That's enough. Has to be. Your final thought before darkness. Not profound. Not meaningful. Just practical. The fence still needs fixing. The goat's still plotting. The corn's still everywhere. Life continues. Whether you're ready or not. Mostly not. Never ready. Just persistent. Stubborn. Alive. And somehow that's the whole story. Not glory. Not triumph. Not the founding father myth. Just people. Tired people. Cold people. Hungry people. Surviving against odds. Building something. Not intentionally. Not heroically. Just accidentally. Through sheer refusal to die. Through work. Through exhaustion. Through the complete absence of alternatives. This is Colonial America, the real one. No wigs, no declarations, no destiny, just dirt, sweat, splinters, and the faint hope that maybe your great-grandchildren will have it slightly better. They won't, but hope's free, dirt's not, work's not, survival's not. Everything costs, everything hurts, everything continues. You survive today, you'll survive tomorrow. Not because you're special, because you're stubborn. Because quitting means dying, and dying's inconvenient. So you continue. One day, one chore, one cornmeal breakfast at a time. Forever. Or close enough. The rooster will scream tomorrow. You'll wake up. You'll hurt. You'll work. You'll survive. This is the pattern. This is the life. This is history. Not the version they teach, the version they lived. Uncomfortable, unglamorous, unrelenting, real. Welcome to Colonial America. You've been here all along, living it, breathing it, barely surviving it, just like everyone else, just like always, just like forever. The straw shifts beneath you one final time. Your eyes close. The house creaks its nightly symphony. Somewhere a mouse plots, the goat schemes, the cow philosophizes, and you just sleep, because tomorrow's coming. Ready or not, probably not, never ready, but you'll face it anyway. Because that's what colonial Americans do. They face things, tired, dirty, hungry, alive. That's the whole story. That's the whole point. They survived. Against everything, despite everything, through everything. And somehow, impossibly stubbornly, that was enough.